Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account who says, found out my 46 female, ex-husband 47 male, has been banging my sister 35 female for the last year. Bloody hell. So yeah, I needed to get this off my chest. It's thrown me for a loop. I was with my husband since I was 21. We got divorced 2.5 years ago. We just grew apart and mutually agreed that the best thing for us was to go our separate ways. It was relatively amicable as these things go. We have 3 boys, 22, 19, and 16. My sister is also in the process of a divorce. Her soon-to-be ex was cheating on her with a co-worker of his. My sister has 2 kids, 10 male and 6 female. Apparently one night last year after my cousin's birthday party, the 2 of them ended up having sex. I remember the night because my sister showed up in a very revealing outfit and was turning heads all night. Little did I know, one of the heads she turned belonged to my ex-husband. They've been sleeping together off and on ever since. I know they're both adults and neither is in a relationship, but it still seems weird to me. I don't understand why my sister would go there. For that matter, I don't understand why my ex would do this. He's a really attractive man. He always has been. He shouldn't have much trouble finding a woman to date, yet he chose my sister. Perhaps he's more angry about our divorce than I thought. My niece mentioned to me that he's been around with mummy a lot, so I asked about it, and he just flat out admitted what's been going on. When I asked my sister, she didn't even try to deny it and said they're both adults and they're not hurting anyone. According to her, it's just sexual and there's no intentions of them being together as a couple. I don't know why this bothers me this much. Maybe because when I met my husband, we were in college and my sister was in elementary school. Were they looking at each other while they were both married? I asked both of them if they ever messed around while we were married and they both denied it. Maybe I'm foolish, but I believe them. I always find stories like this absolutely wild. People jumping straight to, they're both single, they're adults, what's the problem? As if that's the only factor that matters. Sure, nobody's technically cheating here, they're adults or whatever, but come on. Out of the billions of people on earth, your ex-husband decides to sleep with your sister, and your sister decides to sleep with your ex-husband. Most people are going to feel some type of way about that, right? I certainly would. I mean, OP doesn't sound angry about this, just sounds like completely blindsided by what's going on. And honestly, the sisters, we're not hurting anyone is absolute bullshit. You don't get to decide whether someone is hurt by your actions when one of the people involved is their ex-spouse and the other their sibling. For them acting surprised that OP is uncomfortable with this situation is just ridiculous in my opinion. A commenter says to OP, sounds terrible for you. Having shitty siblings is hard. Good luck. OP says thanks. They were never super close because of the age difference, but this is something I never expected could happen. I'm more disappointed in my ex, to be honest. My sister has always been a spoiled brat who wanted her way no matter what. I don't know what is going through his mind though. Commenter says, this is disturbing that 1, your sister is sleeping with the father of your children, and 2, your sister is sleeping with the uncle of her children. That's not okay in my opinion. Hope he says, ugh, the kids are so young. I doubt they have any idea of what's going on. All they seem to know is their uncle comes around from time to time. What a great Easter this turned out to be. Commenter says, both of them are trash. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Must be weird for your kids to have their dad hooking up with their aunt. Opie says, I'm pretty sure none of my boys are aware, yet. Commenter says, I believe it's normal that this would bother anyone, because as you mentioned, you asked if anything happened before between them. It'd make anyone reevaluate past exchanges, possible red flags, etc. So to me, it's understandable to feel that way, even if you're okay with it. They could be telling the truth, and maybe you trust both of them before this. But that's why when this happens, an ex and sibling having sex after, it makes it complicated. They're not knowing if you've been fooled, been lied to, etc. Even if what they're doing is innocent and nothing happened in the past, they both should have thought about it too. Because if you're wondering this, others will too. It's just reality. And what if it does turn into a relationship as most repeated sexual encounters do? It might be worth exploring this with a counselor just so you have someone to talk to regularly, just so you can get an alternate third-party perspective and an outlet for discussing this without other family and friends getting involved. OP says, One reason I really don't believe they did anything while my husband and I were married is because while we were married, we both had access to each other's phones, computers, etc. It would have been nearly impossible for them to hide something like this while he and I were still living together. As I posted, our divorce was basically because of two people had grown apart, and to be honest, we weren't in love anymore. There was no anger or anything like that. We just agreed to go our separate ways. So 5.5 months later, OP comes in with their update and says, I made a post on here a while ago about my ex-husband and sister sleeping together, and a lot had happened since then. I took some of the advice from the comments and have decided to no contact with my sister and low contact with my ex-husband for the sake of our youngest, 16 male son. I called both of them over to my house and informed them of this, and even if they thought that they weren't hurting anyone, that they were hurting me, and it genuinely made me feel disgusted to think about that they would choose each other out of everyone in the world. I said, while I believe they never slept together while we were married, as they said, I don't believe that the thought was never there, and two people who claim to love me would never do this to me. I explained to my sister that even if they didn't plan for things to go beyond sex, that the fact that she would do this to me meant I could no longer have contact with her or her children, because if it ever became something more, I'd be even more hurt for what she was doing. I told my ex that I would only like to communicate through a parenting app, which some of you suggested, until our youngest was of age, and then I would be in minimal contact as possible from then on. I asked him if he was doing this to hurt me, which he denied. I asked how long he had these feelings for my sister, and he said it just happened. I talked to my kids about this, not to turn them against their father, but to inform them of my reasons for no contact and low contact with their aunt and father, so they can make their own decision and talk about how they feel. All three were livid and have talked about going no contact with their father as well, but I encouraged them to take time and think about it, and to not think they needed to do this because I was. As you can imagine, a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old are not the best at keeping secrets, so word got around the family and the town we live in, which is fairly small. Apparently a lot of people thought that this relationship was wrong as well. Something I never expected though was the reaction from my parents that my father went off on my sister, asking how she could do this, why she would do this. My mother was more concerned about the age gap. As I said, when my ex and I were in college, my sister was in elementary school. They informed her that as long as she continued this relationship with my ex, he nor she were welcome in their home. Also, people have started to speculate that they were sleeping together way before either of our divorces, and saying that is the reason her husband was cheating on her, and may have been the reason for mine and my ex's as well. Like I said, I choose to believe them when they said they didn't, but I guess you never know. They attempted to defend themselves for a while, but eventually they cut contact and began avoiding each other like the plague. I guess in an attempt to curb any more weird looks or snide comments about them being a homewrecker and a creep. My sister did give me somewhat of an apology, saying she really didn't think that I would have minded since we ended on okay terms, which I don't fully believe because they went out of their way to keep it a secret. But I informed her that I'm sticking to being no contact with her for the time being. My ex's relationship with our sons is still strained. He asked if I could speak to them, but seeing as the oldest are adults, there isn't much I can do. Our 16-year-old still visits with his father once a month if he wasn't, but most of the time he doesn't, and we both agreed he's old enough to make the choice himself. So that's pretty much it. I still don't know how I feel about all of this. It sucks that I no longer see my sister the same way, that my children's relationship with their father has come to this, but I guess this is my life now. There's still so much about the situation that I want to, but may never know, and maybe that's for the best. Thank you for all those who commented on my original post and all the words of encouragement. It will really help me realize that what they were doing was wrong, and for myself, I didn't need them in my life. A commenter who was downvoted says, I'm confused. You're able to talk to your adult kids to tell them how to low contact, no contact with their dad. But when he asked if you could talk to them because their relationship is now fucked, you're like, they're adults, I can't do anything. Lol. OP says, wanted to explain to them why I was going no contact and low contact with their father. As I said, we had a pretty okay relationship after the divorce, and this was a drastic change, especially for my youngest. And I didn't want to just leave them in the dark. Perhaps I could have talked about it with my ex present, but that just isn't how it happened, and I can admit I may have jumped the gun. That being said, I can't force them to listen or reach out to their father. I've already told them that they didn't need to feel like they had to cut him off. One commenter said something similar to them, as they said something about calling their aunt stepmom or being brother-cousins, and some other sort of Sweet Home Alabama type things. My oldest was more caught up in the age difference, as there are photos of my ex and sister when she was little and were in college, and she was still small. They are their own people and have their own beliefs on what they think is right and wrong. But no, I'm not going to force a sit down with their father. I made it clear that they are free to have their own opinions and can choose who they want in their lives, and I'm not going to take the choice away. Perhaps one day they will reconcile, but that will be up to them. So, there were still some people who were suspicious about the ex and sister seeing each other before the actual divorce, but what do you guys think about that? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Nubmuffin from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, am I the arsehole for ratting out my assistant/colleague and getting her fired to save my own job? I know how it sounds, but please read before you judge. I've 30 male, worked at my current employer for 3 years. Last year, March 2020, I received a promotion to project manager. In the beginning, everything went well, but in the last month, I've been getting more and more negative feedback. I did not understand what was going on nor why people were becoming so negative about me. I was losing clients and several colleagues were really upset with me. I was at a loss. I started talking to my manager and my department head about following courses, getting monthly feedback to perform better. I just wanted to live up to the promotion I received. I felt like I was failing. Then a friend/colleague, 27 female of mine, came to me angry and demanded that I apologize for what I said. I was really confused and asked her why she was so upset with me. She explained she received an email where I was basically blaming her for the issues that I was dealing with. This was an email a client forwarded her. I was at a loss and explained I never sent out an email like that and if she could show me. She did, and it had my name, my send address, and everything seemed like it was from me, but I never sent it. Then it clicked with me. My assistant, 39 female, had access to my email and has the ability to send as me. She's also the only one that had these rights. I was flabbergasted and so much started to make sense. She was next in line for my job and did not receive the promotion. I did. I checked all her sent mail on her PC while she was out for lunch and saw dozens of emails sent as if it was me. An email still open on her screen showed my email address and a written message to clients with misinformation, passive aggressiveness, and straight up lies. These were sent out under my name. I made screenshots and sent them to myself, then went to my manager and the head of the department. They were pissed. She was fired that same day. I was relieved and all my colleagues were informed. I thought I was completely in the right here, but some people at work are complaining that I violated company policy for snooping on her PC and violating her privacy. My boss and direct colleagues have my back, but the people that knew her, she has worked there since 2011 and I've only been here since 2018, say I went too far. Apparently she's a single mother with 2 kids and needed this job. I also need this job and she was more than willing to sacrifice me for her benefit. I don't see how I could be in the wrong for defending myself. Maybe I'm just too close to the situation to see it. Did I go too far by going on her PC? Who are these people that's talking about privacy? Absolute bullshit. This wasn't some innocent employee browsing Facebook on company time or whatever. She was impersonating OP, sending lies to clients, damaging those relationships with colleagues and damaging the company at the same time. She's a liability. And anyone saying, she's a single mother with 2 kids, that doesn't work for me either because she knew she had 2 kids when she was sending those fake emails under someone else's name. She was perfectly happy to go ahead and damage OP's life. So yeah, I'm not buying that bullshit. A commenter says to OP, not the arsehole, she's trying to screw over your career through lies and deceptions. You caught her and she received the correct punishment for her actions. Commenter says, also it wasn't her PC, it was the company's computer, so specifically not a PC, personal computer. Many companies have the authority for a manager, supervisor, or superior of some form of access to the company equipment if needed. You access her work accounts, which ended up being your own account. She was angering clients and your co-workers. Everyone who was mad at you should have been mad at her. Commenter says, you didn't get her fired. She did this to herself. Someone would have figured it out eventually. She chose to risk her job and endanger the business with her deceitful behavior. Losing her position is a natural consequence of her choices, not the arsehole. Hope you're able to continue to repair your reputation from the damage she caused. Opie gives a mini update on the back of that and says, they just let me know they're holding a meeting to clarify what exactly happened. They were catching on to the people that weren't happy about her being fired, and they want to quell any issues before they start taking root. I'll update once again once the meeting is over. It's in 1 hour and 20 minutes from now. The OP follows in shortly after for that update and says update 2. Meeting took 1.5 hours, and after that I was in and out of talks with colleagues and other people. It was properly explained what she was doing and has done to me and the company. The attitude towards me noticeably changed in a positive direction, with a lot of people apologizing to me and explaining they've known her for years, were friends, and could not imagine she actually did something like this. Honestly, I'm happy it ended this way. HR and my boss really had my back here and preemptively handled to avoid any lingering negativity. Nothing but praise for them. I've requested some time off, which was approved, and I'll be at home for a week starting next week. Per my request and advice, they're also going to revise or at least look at the company policy regarding access to other people's emails and other security issues I've noticed. It'll probably be the last update for now. I might make an update post if anything significant happens. Thank you all again. And OP never did update again, so hopefully nothing significant happened after that. But that is absolute madness. Did she really think she was just going to get away with that indefinitely? Sure, she got away with it for a while, but at some point, someone's going to track that back. Someone's going to say, hold on, something's not quite right here. You'd think anyway. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Source Covered Sparrow from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit, and says, would I be the arsehole here if I kept my tattoo appointment against my mum's wishes? So I, female 19, have wanted a tattoo for ages, but haven't got one so far due to how much my mum, female 51, hates them. My sister is inked almost head to toe and my mum despises it and constantly tells her how ugly they are and that if God wanted you to have those patterns on your body, then he would have given them to you. She always tried to push me away from the idea because they hurt so bad and are a poison to your body. Anyways, after we met up with an old friend who showed off a new tattoo, I finally worked up the courage to ask my mum. She wasn't happy with the idea, but she said I was an adult and that she was at least happy I asked for permission first out of respect. Anyways, flash forward to now. I set up an appointment with a good artist my friend recommended and I've already put the deposit down. I've always loved reptiles, so I'm getting a snake right under my collarbone. My mum has suddenly switched her tone though, saying she doesn't want me to get it, that she doesn't want me to ruin her baby girl, and has set strict conditions that I can only get one if it's a matching tattoo with my sister, or if it's something related to her / chosen by her, and I can never get any tattoos after that ever again. I haven't told her about my appointment yet, but at the moment I plan to keep it, as I've already paid the deposit and I'm paying for the rest of the tattoo myself. The process does not involve her at all, other than asking her for permission, so I don't think she should get to suddenly shut down my plans like that. She's also opposed to the snake idea because she finds them gross and hates that I'm so fascinated by that, and says that she wouldn't be able to look at me if I had one on my body. It can easily be covered up by a work shirt, so it's not anywhere big and visible, which was one of her original conditions. I'm excited and looking forward to my first tattoo. I'm tired of being a boring hermit because my mum is really controlling and doesn't like me being independent or doing something without her. I'll probably only tell her as I'm heading out the door to my appointment so she can't stop me, but I'm also terrified of the backlash if I do go through with it. I know my dad won't care because he has 2 chest tattoos and once again, I'm an adult and he respects that, but I don't want him to start fighting over my decisions. Would I be the arsehole if I don't cancel my tattoo appointment? Adding an edit because there are too many comments to reply to. I'm not worried about being kicked out as I know my dad is on my side and he too is tired of my mum's BS. He will back me up and understands that I'm an adult, so he does not care so as long as I'm happy and healthy. In general, my mum is very controlling and clingy with me. She doesn't like me hanging out with friends or essentially doing anything that she isn't involved with and pretty much expects me to spend all my time with her. Any talk of me moving out has her panicking and freaking out like I sell crack, and she threatens to keep my ESA cat from me if I ever try to move out. I do contribute to the household. I do pretty much all the housework since I do hybrid college courses and I'm home a lot more while they are at work. I work a lot during the summer and pick up whatever gigs I can do throughout the school year. I also fully pay my tuition and insurance. My mum is religious, but she is not against the snake for that reason. She hates them and thinks that they're slimy, gross, and believes all the sizing up myths. I am majoring in wildlife biology and plan on working with reptiles in the future, which is what inspired the idea. I've been a lifetime fan of them, which my mum isn't too keen on. She kind of expects me to be a mini version of her and is upset that our interests differ. Now in the first part of this, I was like, you're 19, you're paying for the tattoo yourself, get the tattoo if you want, as long as you've researched it, done all that good stuff which you should be doing when you're getting a tattoo, right? But then we got to the edit and suddenly the tattoo wasn't really the story anymore, right? It just seemed the tattoo was a part of a much bigger thing that was going on, like some things that I pointed out here, the mum wanting the tattoo to be about her or chosen by her. She was freaking out whenever OP talks about moving out, expecting OP to spend all her free time with her. I mean, it just sounds super unhealthy, doesn't it? Threatening to keep the ESA cat if she leaves, being upset that OP isn't the mini version of herself. Yet meanwhile, we got OP as doing most of the housework, paying tuition, paying insurance, and going to college. I think at this point, OP just does, if she can, move out because that's some wild ass unhealthy behavior coming from mum, I think. But Commodore says, not the arsehole. It's not your mum's body. OP says, someone please tell her that too. She's convinced that it is. A commoner says, not the arsehole, your mum is nuts. It is your meat wagon. Decorate it as you please. Meat wagon. Quoting, if God wanted you to have those patterns on your body, he would have given them to you, and then says, please tell me she wears glasses. Please. Oopie says, she does. Commodore says, not the arsehole. You're an adult. Paid for it yourself, and it's easily covered. Imagine tattoo condition is about control, not love. Go. A commenter says, not the arsehole. At 19 years old, you're an adult. Time to act like it. Also move the fuck out of your mum's house. You'll love how much easier it is to set boundaries when you have real privacy. So, around 2 weeks later, OP came in with their update and says, I got the tattoo. I love it so much, the artist did an amazing job. It's boosted my self-confidence so much and it's helped me with my body image issues around my shoulders. Medical reasons. Not sure if I'll post a photo or not since I want to stay fairly anonymous and it'd be pretty identifiable. But it's healing nicely and I will certainly be getting more. On to my mum. I blurted out a few days before my appointment. I swear she about crashed the car. She was shocked and that I actually booked it. She once again tried to talk me out of it because her baby girl doesn't get tattoos. But I stood my ground and she eventually accepted it on the condition I don't go alone. I invited my friend who has tattoos and we made a day out of it, so that was fun. The day of my appointment she was really anxious and freaked out because she knew it was happening no matter what, and my dad calmed her down. When she saw it in person afterwards, when she had time to think on it, she admitted it was cool and explained that her original reaction was more of a knee-jerk because she's heavily struggling with being an empty nester, and in her words, a tattoo would mean you're an adult now. I'm trying to convince her to talk about this with a therapist, especially because she said my tattoo makes me look more grown up and she doesn't like that. In conclusion, it wasn't necessarily about the tattoo. It was the fact that I'm her youngest at 19 and she's terrified of me growing up. She got her issues to work on, and I'm not doing anything wrong by maturing and accepting I'm an autonomous adult. She's requested I hold off getting more for a while, which I'm fine with since I'm still letting this one heal and I'm going to be busy for the next few months. Anyways, thank you for everyone who responded and encouraged me to go through with my appointment. And OP quickly went to explain what kind of snake tattoo she got and says, fellow noodle fan. It's kind of just the outline of a default rat snake, though I would love to get a rhino rat snake at some point. But what about you guys on the back of this one? Have you ever been through a similar situation before? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly is absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.